So here's the facts. In the coming months, I'm going to be having a court case. It's a case in which I was arrested on my parents' property, not moving, not even in my vehicle, actually. And I was jailed for having in my possession THC, which I guess it was because of a concentrate, which was actually the THCA stuff that they sell in the stores illegally. But hey, anyways, you'll understand a little bit further along this whole storyline how badly the arresting officers messed up there, but also for having weed and for having mushrooms. Okay, and I'm gonna be straight up with that. It was a second-degree felony, a state jail felony, and then a misdemeanor. The THC and the weed I actually have a prescription for, which I have posted on my Facebook. The mushrooms were picked wild by myself after stopping in about 4 or 5 different federal national ranger stations, forest ranger stations between Washington State and Oregon. It became a little habit of mine whenever I was on the road because it's really hard to find a paper map. If you actually go to convenience stores and ask around, they're really they're rare nowadays. But I had learned very quickly that the National Forest Ranger stations are the places that have them. You can even buy them, really nice ones too, all vinyl and stuff. They're great. But anyways, in every single Forest Ranger station, there's 4 of them, that 5 I believe, that I had stopped into. I even spoke, but there's one in Little Detroit, Oregon. I spoke with the woman there for some time. She was really nice, and they all have a little pamphlet, right? It's actually maybe a 3 or 4 page little guide on how to pick mushrooms, how to identify them, which ones are edible, which ones, are intoxicating, yada, 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 right? I'm not going to go ahead and make assumptions for everybody, but if this is in every National Forest Ranger station, I would think that at least in a certain context that they're okay with this. Anyways, they were picked wild by me and dried in a dehumidifier, like what you would use to make a jerky, like me and my stepfather did whenever I was younger, deer jerky. But anyways, this was mushroom jerky, I guess. No one knows what's in those mushrooms. I picked them to use for art, and I have posted on my Facebook and on my Instagram, most recently on my Instagram, a little bit more in-depth photos with a little extra content about the artwork that I created. It's a piece that I had dubbed "On the Discourse of the Counterculture Movements in America." Well, the Facebook version was "On America" because I thought that was a little bit witty, but I cleaned it up for the Instagram version just to kind of allay any possible misconceptions and confusions. Anyways, nobody knows what's in those mushrooms. God knows what's in those mushrooms. I doubt the $30,000 gas chromatography lab testing required to test those mushrooms would even identify anything other than organic material in those mushrooms. Anyways, $50,000 bond, second-degree felony for having these mushrooms, which I had picked in accordance with a guide that is distributed at the National Forest Rangers stations throughout the country. So let's go ahead and let's back up. Let's go ahead and sum that all up. So we got mushrooms picked wild, which I'm pretty sure you could do, and me illegally jailed over it, including being jailed for having THC and weed, which the THC wasn't even the prescription THC weed, which I do have a legitimate and valid prescription that is not only written by a doctor in Texas, but is actually in the Department of Public Safety, the DPS's Compassionate Use Program registry. The arresting officers at the time, I had told them about this, and their response was, Texas doesn't recognize THC. I didn't argue with them. If they're so behind on the laws that they missed the last 2 years of Texas legislature, then I am going to go ahead and assume that they missed the part where THC is now a Schedule III drug, which means it is regulated by the FDA, and I'm pretty sure the FDA is federal. Long story short, I will win this case, but there will be pushback. It's going to be very embarrassing to the department, and I wanted to go ahead and just make a call for just support. I know this isn't everybody's cup of tea. I'm not going around spouting off condoning the use of THC or anything like that. I was prescribed it for a very legitimate and very serious issue at the time, and one that I still battle with. But nonetheless, I know it's not to everybody's sensitivities. What I'm asking for support here, if possible, is just, just support in my battle against what was an unjust and what should have been an avoidable incident. I was jailed for a week over this, hospitalized in the whole 9 yards, due to some emotional trauma that I was, going through because of this jailing. I was enrolled in college, actually, in Bend, Oregon, at Central Oregon Community College. I just checked last night to try to log into my, my Bobcat web portal, and it says that I can't log anymore because I missed I had a year of absence, so it was too late. That week that I was jailed, it was too late, man. I couldn't make it up there in time. So I am no longer going to be able to go to college there, and that's sad for me. It really is. It chokes me up a bit. It's something that I failed at in the past because I didn't care. When I was younger, I didn't care. I was a little a-hole, and I only cared about myself, and this time I really meant it. I really wanted to go to school, but this all could have been avoided if they would have just at least been up to date on the laws. So I just want, if at all possible, just people's support and understanding about this, because I can't afford to lose this. A second-degree felony, they can send me to prison for me not even doing anything wrong, honestly. So I just, if you can, just any prayers even are just always just greatly appreciated. Just thank you for listening, those of you who do. I really do appreciate it.